Daily Broadside, day 700. That's correct. We've made it to day 700. They're talking about getting to where they can do head transplants on people. If they can just learn to like get the brainstem and the nerves and all regenerated and reattached, then we can just start doing head transplants, which would be, I guess it would be an interesting take when you got these people, the 600, 800 pound people that live in their house and can't ever leave, and they could take their big fat head and have it transplanted on somebody who's like a fitness model or something, is in phenomenal shape, a 23-year-old gymnast who's just, tighter than a pack of hot dogs, right? But then what would be interesting to see how quickly they would decimate that body that they'd been put on top of, and it would turn back into like a 600-pound life, because that's not something that you just change bodies and things change. You'd have to actually have some kind of newfangled way of life, and maybe that's what it would take. It would take is having a new body. Just you could start over and have ripped abs and pecs and everything. You'd be like, you know what? I'm tired of eating Cheetos and Mountain Dew all day long. I'm going to turn this thing around. I was at a Mexican restaurant last night with my teenage son, and he orders an ACP Diablo, and he gets it, and he bites into it, and he's like, what does Diablo mean? I said, I'm pretty sure it means devil. He's like, oh, I thought it meant fire. And I'm like, why would you think that meant fire? He's like, I don't know. I thought it was fire. And so I thought it would be hot, and it is. But I thought they were talking about like fire as in popular, not fire as in hot. And I'm like, why would... This is why your stupid language that you kids use, calling everybody bruh every 5 seconds, and that's fire, and, no cap, and all this dumb... Y'all got to stop all these little colloquial sayings. It ruins your brain. It rots your brain. And then he's sitting there, and we're sitting there a few minutes later, and I was like, it was good food. The Rio Grande Mexicano Restaurante. And he says, I said, it's pretty good. I said, this is one of the better, Hispanic joints I've been to. And he's like, yeah, it's real authentic. Now, I want to mind you, this boy has been to about 20-some states in the Union, and he's been to the Bahamas. That's it. That's his world traveling experience. He's been nowhere else at all, and yet he's talking about being authentic. I looked at him and I was like, I don't want you to ever comment on anything being authentic in a country you've never eaten authentic. He's like, well, what about that place that we had to order in the back of that store that only had Spanish in the restaurant? And I was like, that's as close to authentic as it gets for you, but you're still not allowed until you set foot in a Hispanic country to talk like that. He's like, you got no frame of reference for that. Now, I was cleaning out a pile of wood the other day, about 2 days ago, and I found a baby copperhead, and it died. It didn't make it. But I got no problem with snakes, but the venomous ones can't be anywhere near me. But I'm sitting there, and I was like, and I expected to find like the mama, right? Because this thing was, it was fairly small and new. And so I pull out my phone, and I was waiting for all the other snakes to erupt from this pile. I'm standing there, and I Google, I said, when are baby copperheads born? And it says late summer. And I'm like, okay, well, that seems to be legitimate. I said, it is kind of late summer right now, so this must be a fairly new snake, right? That sadly passed and didn't make it. And then I'm thinking, well, where's the mom? And so I type in, when do copperheads leave their young? And it said, after 2 weeks. I thought to myself, that's got to be so weird. Could you imagine, like, I don't know what the gestation period for a copperhead is. Well, let's say it's a month, right? You carry this snake around, a brood, as it's called. And I don't know if they lay eggs or actually live birth. I can't keep straight which snakes do what. But let's say you carry that thing around for a month and you squirt it out. Now you got a little baby. And maybe there's 2 or 3 of them. I don't know. Maybe it's just one. I have no idea. I didn't look that part up. But wouldn't it be weird after 2 weeks, your mom be like, deuces, and you're out, right? And it goes around. Well, it's a snake. It's not like how they say like sharks cover like 50 miles a day or some crazy amount of stuff. It's not like, a shark could dump its baby and be like, all right, I'm headed to, the other side of the Pacific. I'll see you in another life, They never run into each other. But wouldn't you think that a copperhead would kind of stay in the same like acre or something, and its own feeding ground? It wouldn't need to go far. Plus, God, have you ever slithered before? Yeah, I can't imagine slithering would be a fun way to like get around. Go lay on your carpet and just crawl into the kitchen. I'd be like, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not even hungry anymore. If this is what I got to do to get food, I'm not going anywhere. So it's got to be uncomfortable to go long distances. So I would think a snake wouldn't go far, right? So, but wouldn't it be weird if like you run into like your kid that you abandoned when you were, he was 2 weeks old, left to fend for himself, in a world of all kinds of things that he's going to run into and not have any questions or answers for his questions. Like, Mama, why have you forsaken me? Basically a copperhead is God, and the copperhead baby is Jesus on the cross. Lord, why have you forsaken me? Why hast thou forsaken me? And the last thing I'll say is I end this 700 videos of complete nonsense for the most part. A couple times I was poignant, but for the most part, it's been nonsense. And that's okay. But I'll tell you another thing that's nonsense is people that wear turquoise jewelry. I got no use for you. Giddy.